Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour ahead of round 4 here at the beautiful Valencia Autodromo Circuit Ricardo Tormo. Absolutely delighted to welcome you all here to TCR TV for what should be a very exciting motor race indeed. Paul Jeffrey up in the box, as always. Alex Legui down there on the grid to catch all of the insight and excitement ahead of this first race of the day. And goodness me, is it warm down there on the grid. So, without further ado, let's head down to Alex to see who she can find on the grid ahead of this first race of the day.
Hola a todos, buenos dias. A very, very hot welcome to you all. Welcome to the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. It's round 2, and this weekend we are in Valencia at Circuit Ricardo Tormo. A very twisty, challenging, tricky circuit, as proven in qualifying earlier on. So, the grid, we have 18 drivers here who are battling it out for this first race. And I tell you what, the pressure is really, really high. Already things have thrown some exciting things in the mix. Let me tell you, Esteban Guerrieri came into this weekend the points leader, but everything to play for because, boy, did he have a difficult qualifying session. And he starts right the way back there. The Lynk & Co boys had a mega Mexico, and it seems that they're on fire yet again. Santi Urrutia is on pole position, and his teammate Jan is something like 33 thousandths of a second behind him. I'll tell you more about that in a moment, but let's have a chat to Santi while we can. Well, hello, sir. Right, this is the place to be, isn't it? But tell me, obviously there are no team orders at this stage. It's no surprise and no secret that you and Jan tend to go, you know, full throttle. Which one of you is going to get to that first corner first?
I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that I have a two-time world champion next to me, and then I've been learning a lot from him, from Ted as well. So it's just racing, and we are teammates. Sometimes there is some orders to follow. Sometimes it's open door for everything. But when you always have a blue car next to you, you need to take care of it. So we are P1, P2, P3 at the moment. So we want to collect the best point for the team. But as well, as a driver, we want to win. But let's see, I just hope to get a good start and then to drive out with a good car. As I say, after quali I have 30 kilos, so let's see with this heat how much the tires offer, but I'm confident, so let's see. The important thing is to collect the points.
Thank you, Santi. Vamos. So, as he said, this is a really tricky circuit, particularly in the heat. The blue boys have 30 kilos. So, they have the qualifying pace, the Lynk & Co's. We know that. But do they have the race pace? And so, coming into this weekend, well, if you think about Mexico, those of you who watch Mexico will know that Hyundai, turns out, they're much better on sea level, which we are now. However, the best qualifying Hyundai is Norby in P5. But these blue boys, yes, they're quick in qualifying, but they may not have race pace. Therefore, Norby potentially could just notch through. But let's not also forget, behind you is Nacho Montenegro, the best qualifying Honda, who is damn quick. He's very young, he's very fast, and he's one to be careful of. Let's see if we can have a quick word with Norby, because he is our fastest Hyundai, and he likes chatting to us nowadays on the grid. He didn't used to. He used to be a bit quiet, but I'm sure he'll say hello to us now, won't you? Discussing the fact that you boys should, in theory, have race pace, even if quali pace was a little off. Talk to me.
Hi, Alex.
Hello.
Yeah, the plan is to overtake 4 cars exiting T1 and then to control the race afterwards. That's my master plan.
Yeah, good. Okay, that's great. See, that's exactly what I thought he'd say. Thanks, Norby. Very, very good. Norby is so chill nowadays. Right. Just keep swiveling around, my lovely cameraman, because this is Eric Chenet. Now, he is the son of multiple TCR Jordi Genet, who I think this year it must be 20 years since his first TCR drive. Eric, There he is! Get over here! Oh, look at you. How proud are you of your boy?
I'm very proud, but very nervous at the moment.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Yeah, I am.
Did you expect to be quite so much in the mix? This is an incredible start for you and your TCR global platform.
Yeah, for me it's incredible to be here in the top 6 right now. My objective was going into Q2 and not expecting this P6, but we will try to defend with everything.
It's so hot. So track temperature is 47, ambient is about 35. Eric is doing double duties this weekend. That's not easy.
No, it's not. Quite hot. Trying to get wet in between race and race with the shower and try to drink as much possible water, because if not, I wouldn't be here right now.
Good. Doing it for the home crowd. It's so good to see you. Right. Good stuff. Let's crack on. I don't know how long we've got, but we'll keep talking. So, Goat Racing. I want to speak to Esteban if we can, because he's not... 3 minutes. Oh, Marco Butti there. He's our youngest boy on the grid. He's one of our wild cards, of which we have a few. Let's not forget about our wild cards, because as we've just realised from the Genet boys, they are going to throw cats among the pigeons here. Nestor Bebu Girolami is back there. He didn't have a great one. Poor old Ted. Let's see if we can... See, they're all hiding from us because of the... Oh, there he is. He's in the shade. Let's have a quick word with Ted, because he had a rubbish Q2 because of brake issues. Oh, this is how you do. Much better.
I didn't have a Q2 because I was not even in.
Sorry. Okay, didn't get into Q2 because of brake issues. Talk to me.
No. Now I try to fix the car setup-wise, so I can take some positions from here. It's a 3 race. So it's not reverse grid on the qualifying. So it depends on the finishing position, so it's fine. The weekend will be fine, I hope.
Where are the overtaking opportunities here?
It's really hot. So that will be hard on the tires for everybody. So I think mostly it will come from mistakes then. Instead of, it's difficult to overtake on the track. Okay. But it will be more from mistakes, I think. All
right, and you know your boys. Which one of these are likely to make mistakes?
I'm not going to tell you.
What a surprise. Thanks, Ted. Just go round, everybody. It'll be fine. All right, and then finally, because he came into this weekend as the points leader, let's try and just have a quick word with Esteban Guerrieri. We're spinning around again, cameraman. Esteban! Want to be, but we know that you're an absolute mean machine when it comes to starting at the back and getting to the front. So talk me through how this race is going to go.
Yeah, you sound agitated, yeah? It was a long way here.
Hot and it's,
Yeah, we are a little bit further back than what we would like to. So yeah, it's about taking our weapons out and try to go and fight out there. We know it's going to be a tough race. 30 minutes plus 1 lap. A lot of hits in the tarmac. So yeah, it's about survival and trying to make some smart moves. So let's see how it goes.
Thank you. Survival is exactly right, because let's just remind you very quickly, the results of this race will determine what happens in race 2. So it's damage limitation. Everything to play for. It's going to be a great race. Paul is commentating. It's your turn, Paul. Go.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you very much, Alex Legui, down there on the grid in what is quite possibly the most scorching temperatures you could wish to be in. Very, very hard work on the grid. Doing the interviews, it'll be even harder for the drivers behind the wheel with their full fireproof overalls on and going racing for 30 minutes plus 1 lap. Not very often you'll hear me say this, ladies and gents, boys and girls, but I'm glad I'm not in a race car today. It has to be said. There is confirmation, 32 degrees air temperature, 46 degrees centigrade track, and it's a little bit better now with 35% humidity. Those clouds have cleared over the Valencia circuit, and it's just a small matter of the baking sunshine and very, very little wind indeed. Perfect for the beach, not so much for the racetrack. Let's see if this is going to have an impact on the drivers and their ability to concentrate, and the Kumho tyres and their ability to give off enough grip to go very quickly indeed for the full race distance. As Alex Leguiz mentioned, she made it all the way down to P14 on the grid. That's for Esteban Gurrieri, our championship leader, coming into this one. Esteban, 13 cars ahead of him. He's got to clear to be even in a remote conversation for the race victory. But as Ted Bjork did mention on the grid, qualifying's a little bit different this time around. The grid has been set for qualification for race number 1. For race number 2, it's going to be the first race results with a reverse top 10. And for race number 3, the grid will be set with the sum of the points from qualifying race 1 and race 2 combined. A little bit different. Some mental arithmetic needs to be done, which I will not be doing. I will wait for that information to be given to me. But what it does mean is, if you're Ted Bjork, if you're Esteban Gurrieri, or Mikel Azcona for that matter as well, opportunity knocks for getting yourself up the field over the course of the racing weekend. It is not over and done at all in terms of a big point score. And at the front of the field, can Santiago Urrutia convert pole position into a race lead down to T1? If he does that one, that's half of the job. With Jan Elishay and Marcin Guar chomping on you a bit behind, it's going to be a real big ask for any one of our top 3 Lincoln Co Cyan racing drivers to come out on top in the inter-team battle. Jan Elishay, I think it's fair to say, will probably be very enthusiastic indeed about converting his second place into a race victory. He needs the points to kickstart his championship charge. And with Gurrieri all the way down there in 14th position, kickstarting championship charges is exactly the opportunity that presents itself for our drivers. Have a quick look at the final preparations for Marcin Guar. Be a good opportunity for Mar from third on the grid to get himself involved in the noise and kerfuffle that will inevitably come from the 2 leading cars. But the one for me, the big one to look out for me, is P4 Nacho Montenegro. As Alex mentioned, we have several guest drivers this weekend. Montenegro not being one of those, but being somebody that had, shall we say, a difficult time in Mexico. From 4th, he can disrupt things. Why it's important? Marco Butti is also very close indeed. He is a guest driver, is Marco, the Italian driver. Maybe there's some opportunity to help out his GOAT Racing teammate for this weekend. Maybe 2 Hondas up there can cause a little bit of disturbance to our front runners, while their teammate Esteban Gurrieri works his magic and up through the pack. BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corsa, they've had a better start to this weekend than Mexico. I think that's fair to say. Norbert Michaelis lining up in 5th position on the grid. It is a much better qualifying, a better starting position for him. But his teammate, Mikel Azcona, 3-place grid drop for contact with Julio Rejon last time out in Mexico, and another 3-place grid drop for an FP2 pit exit light infringement. That starts Mikel in 14th position. So there's pace in the car. The grid position looks similar to Mexico, but there is pace in the Spaniard's machine. Azcona's going to be a driver, I am certain, on home soil, who'll be very enthusiastic about making inroads to the field ahead as early as possible to get him in contention. Speaking of grids then, let's take a look at our starting grid for this first race of the day. Santiago Urrutia will be on front row alongside Jan Elishay, Marcin Guar and Nacho Montenegro on the second row of the grid, keeping them company. Norbert Michaelis starts in 5th. Eric Genet is alongside in 6th. Then it's Marco Butti and Aurelien Comte, 7th and 8th places respectively. Starting in 9th will go the way of Bebu Girolamo. He's got Ted Bjork in 10th position with Ruben Volt and Julian Brichet, both guest drivers in a Honda and a Hyundai respectively. Esteban Gurrieri is 14th. The aforementioned penalisations put Mikel Azcona in 14th position. Felipe Fernandez starts in 15th. Alongside him is Victor Anderson. John Filippi, the last of our full-time TCR World Tour drivers, is 17th, and Rafael Fournier starts in 18th position. And last, the young French driver enjoying his debut season in TCR competition, doing a great job in the FFSATC France Championship, having taken 4 wins from 8 races. Acclimatisation to the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour proving to be a little bit more challenging. Hopefully for the Frenchman, he can stay on track and get some valuable experience behind the wheel of that JSB competition Hyundai Elantra N. Right then, folks, formation lap is underway here at the circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia, ahead of the first race of 3 in the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. This is rounds 4, 5 and 6, event number 2 of the 2025 season, and it was, it's fair to say, very much advantage Esteban Gurrieri in Mexico. Well, Gurrieri's got a big day ahead of him if he wants to repeat any kind of the success that we saw last time out. It's going to be a lot of great racing still to come, folks. Do not go anywhere at all. Checking in, car number 127, John Felipe. It really hasn't been the 2025 that John Felipe would have been thought it would have been coming into this one. New team, new car, SP competition, and Cooper early on VZ TCR. The adaptation perhaps has not been quite as quick as John Felipe would have liked. Championship drivers' points provisional after qualification. Esteban Gurrieri now leads by 11 points from Santiago Arrutia. Ted Bjork a further point in arrears in 3rd. Jan Elysée 26 adrift in 4th position. That's why I was saying this is a big opportunity for the former double world champion. He's got a big haul of points under his belt. He needs that to kickstart this season. The championship runs to a tight schedule. The races come thick and fast. We've seen from qualifying, what was it, 0.8 of a second covering our top 12 drivers. You cannot afford a bad weekend in the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. You cannot drop points to those around you. Jan Elysée has had a challenging season start so far in Mexico. He had the pace, but just couldn't convert it into the points. A 3rd, a 2nd, and then a 16th after penalisations. So we know the Frenchman's quick. The big thing is, though, now the history books don't record pace. The history books record points scored. And for Jan Elysée, a whole host of them would be a very welcome tonic after a difficult opening weekend of the season. It is, though, we're talking a lot about Jan Elysée in second, but of course, Santiago Arrutia starts this one from pole position. And Santi, he's had an up and down couple of seasons, I think it's fair to say. Over the last couple of seasons, 2nd, 5th and 3rd last time around in Mexico, so Arrutia will be looking for a big points haul again to keep his initial charge for the World Tour driver standings very firmly on track. It's Gabriele Tarquini and Gabriele Rizzo there from the BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corsa team. Look on. Nervous times for all concerned at the start of a motor race, not least of which is when your man Mikel Afkone's in 14th, and right at the heart of where things could, would and probably do go a little bit wrong. Not long to go now then, folks. The final cars at the back of your shot are lining up in position. Raphael Fournier being the final driver to take his spot in the bright yellow machine. And there we go then, 18 cars in position here at the circuit Ricardo Tormo. In a few moments' time, the green flag at the back of the field will wave and the lights will be extinguished. In a few moments then, the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour round number 4 here from Valencia is under green flag conditions, and that is as aggressive as you're likely to see. Contact between the two teammates. Santiago Arrutia showing all of the aggression in the world. Contact with Jan Elysée. Nacho Montenegro trying to find an opportunity around the outside. Unbelievable, these early stage contact between two teammates. Jan Elysée, absolute aggression at the back of your shot. Eric Genet tries to find a gap where arguably no gap did exist. That secondary contact and goodbye tyre barrier. And the first time of asking Julien Brichet uses an interesting line to stay out of trouble in the bright blue Hyundai Elantra NTCR. But all the way through the field, we've got contact, several of our drivers. That is a big bit of damage there as well. Was that Montenegro's machine? We'll check that one out in a moment. It is indeed. So Nacho Montenegro in the 1-2-3 carrying damage. Marco Butti gets absolutely mugged by Julien Brichet. Brichet on a charge as well, doing a great job. Butti trying to find a way back past the damage. Montenegro having some protective action from behind, but I don't think Fernandez is going to have enough to keep that car protected from the chasing pipe. Massive dramas for Nacho Montenegro from 4th on the grid. He looked like he was going to be in the pound seats. Well, that's gone very wrong indeed. Very early, Ruben Volt sneaks his way to the inside in the ALM Motorsports Honda. Montenegro still circulating, but he's got a bit of a battle pack, hasn't he, behind? There's Mikel Azcona as well. So Azcona's not had the start that he would be looking for either. Maybe wrapped up in this early shenanigans here at Valencia. Nacho Montenegro is very much the cork in the bottle. Jan Elishay leads the field through on this opening first lap. Santiago Urrutia will not enjoy watching that one back. Contact in a straight line between two teammates is never a great call. Several drivers jumping down pit lane. Mikel Azcona being one such driver. So Azcona's dramas unfortunately continue after the double penalisation following qualification. Himself and Montenegro down pit lane. So let's have a look then. What does that bring? There is the stranded BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corsa machine. And there is a very, very sad looking GOAT Racing Honda Civic of Nacho Montenegro. Early retirement, absolutely not part of the plan. Norbert Mikkelis's plan, by the way, to pass everybody on T1 and take an early race lead. Didn't quite work out as scheduled, but Norby is up in a fourth position. So 1 place gained, courtesy of Montenegro's dramas. Bebu Girolami as well in 6th place, just Eric Genet in the middle of that little battle pack, keeping everybody company. There's Aurelien Comte as well with some kind of strife on the front left of his Cupra. So Aurelien Comte's day is done, and that is heavy and hearty damage on the GOAT Racing Honda Civic. Heart goes out to the team. Thankfully, we're not racing again until tomorrow morning, so there's plenty of time if they can't get it back out on the racetrack. And there's plenty of time in this motor race, 26 minutes and 55 seconds, plus 1 lap to be precise. Jan Elishay, still your race leader from Santiago Urrutia, and then marching well 1, 2, and 3 for the Kumho Scion Racing Squad. But we've already seen off the start, I think it's fair to say, gloves off. These boys didn't even put the gloves in the car, it doesn't seem. Santiago Urrutia, deep aggression at the start of this race. It's not worked out too well on this occasion for the Uruguayan driver, but there's still all to play for as Eric Genet tries to get out of the dirty air. Norbert Mikkelis ahead. High temperatures here in Valencia. Normally you want the slipstream, but I think maybe a little bit of cooling for the cars would be in order as well, and Genet does well to get a bit of fresh air there as Aurelien Comte rejoins the racetrack and does a good job to stay well and truly out of the way. Does Aurelien, doesn't want to interfere with our race-leading battle. He's just trying to get a few more laps on board that car, work out what went wrong, and get everything tickety-boo for race 2 tomorrow. So then, who are our big winners and losers in this opening battle? A little bit further down the running order, Marco Butti moves up into the top 10. Solid start from him. Ted Bjork up into 7th position as well. So the big Swede had a great start from a disappointing Q1. And as he mentioned several times actually over the course of our television this weekend, it's a 3 race, there's plenty still to play for. And Ted Bjork absolutely doing a grand job so far. Up there in 7th position, a healthy haul of points coming his way, but I think Bjork will perhaps quite fancy having a nibble at the rear of Bebu Girolami before this one comes to an end. We'll keep an eye on the times, the respective lap times of those two drivers. It was advantage Girolami last time of asking. But the race starts to wind on into the middle phase. That's when the grip starts to fall away from the tyres. That's when the balance starts coming to or from the respective drivers, and that's when we expect to see quite a bit of movement through the running order as we ride on board with car number 168, Jan Elishay. He's having a great time at the front of the field as Nacho Montenegro is quite the opposite on pit lane and into an early retirement. Over the line we go then, Eric Genet still having a little look at the back of Norbert Mikkelis, the young Spanish driver, very, very keen on home soil to make an impression on the world stage. Debut in the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour for Eric Genet. Applies his trade this year in TCR Europe. There's a dual program in TCR Spain that are also on the same schedule here in Valencia. So Genet had a little bit of time in a TCR Spain car already as well. And let's take a quick look then at a replay of some of the dramas that we saw at the start of this race. So watch away from the line. Then a good start from Jan Elishay. Almost immediately Urrutia goes to cover off the defence. We're not quite seeing it in this shot from these beautiful drone pictures, but that led to secondary contact at the front of the field, further down the pack as well. We've got several drivers making their way through the order, but take a look at this one. Jan Elishay has to touch the grass. That's the secondary contact with Santiago Urrutia, and an almost mirror image to Marcin War. While around the outside, Nacho Montenegro works himself in a strife. Hopefully we see just what happened, and there is what happened to Nacho. The tyre stack on the outside of the corner. We always knew somebody was going to hit it. Unfortunately, Nacho Montenegro would end up being the one. As we ride on board with John Philippi, much further down the running order, gets a fabulous launch, does John, around the outside. That's a risky place to be. Victor Anderson doesn't want to give that space, and right so. A little bit of contact between the two of them, and the good start, unfortunately, for John Philippi proved to be for precisely nothing. This is riding on board with Aleshe. Oh, that's not a bit of contact that you want with your teammate off a start line. A little look to your right-hand side for Jan as well. What are you doing? Or probably slightly more choice words on board the French driver, but it worked out very nicely indeed for 168 into an early race lead. Mikel Azcona, his start wasn't quite so good though, from down in 14th position, courtesy of those penalties awarded post-qualification. Let's have a look on board the 196. That's Ted Bjork that you can see just ahead of us. A little bit of contact from the rear. Azcona does mighty fine, it has to be said, to gather that car together. There's the errant tyre stack, and that would have been rather alarming, to say the least, to see that in front of you. But Azcona got away with that one. Not quite sure what the visit to pit lane was for the Spanish driver. Hopefully we'll find that one out in the fullness of time. So then, we checked out everybody's starts. It's rather exciting for some drivers, slightly less so for others. But the end result is still Jan Aleshe as your race leader, Santiago Urrutia. Tail between the legs, probably, courtesy of the contact on the run down into turn number one. Is in second position, and Marchingnois holding firm on the bottom step of the provisional podium. The big fight, though, at the head of the pack at least, is this one between Eric Genet and just ahead of him, Norbert Miklas, our reigning champion, double champion in the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. The driver that's been around for a long time, still a relatively young man, who's been around for a long time, as Norbert Miklas versus Eric Genet, who probably is about the age of some of the items of clothing that Norbert and I both own. Eric Genet, very, very young man, 18 years of age, but massively rapid, absolutely on the button in terms of pace. Just needs a bit more time behind the wheel to convert that into the results that we know the Spanish driver's capable of. And pulling double duty this weekend with TCR Spain and the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. He's definitely got plenty of relevant running time under his belt so far. There's a little pass for position further back. That's Marco Butti and Julien Brichet, and good. Brichet almost loses the car on the return to the racetrack. A little kiss to the side of Butti's machine just to let him know exactly what he thinks of that one. But Julien Brichet needs to be very, very careful indeed. That's the car in 9th position, Butti and Ruben Volt just behind. Unfortunately, Mikel Azcona's day comes to an end as the BRC squad pulling that machine back. But take a look at this one. That is Julien Brichet, JSB competition, Hyundai Elantra and TCR. Guest driver this weekend, plies his trade in TCR Europe, finished 5th last time out of the Hockenheim ring just last weekend, and he's having quite the fight. Let's have a look at what happened. Very bizarre actually. I think Brichet just lost the car momentarily. Light contact with the side of Marco Butti. Butti will be unimpressed, but does survive as Ruben Volt now in the ALM Motorsports Honda Civic behind. Same car, different team. ALM Motorsport being an Estonian outfit, Ruben Volt being an Estonian driver, and Ruben Volt being very impressively to the inside and takes that position away from Butti. Great driving there from Volt. Butti just cautiously getting back in line again as Felipe Fernandez slides himself in a position now. So Butti not having a great couple of corners. Felipe Fernandez having a good start to his race up there in 12th position. Showing good strength at home soil is the Spanish driver. They'll be hoping to move forward yet further as we see this battle now. That is Ted Bjork. And Bjork has found a way past Bebu Girolami. So from 7th to 6th position goes the Swede. Didn't quite see that manoeuvre in action, but it is another great pass for Ted Bjork and another really, really strong points haul. And this perhaps, folks, explains why Marco Butti was fighting a rearguard action. The GOAT Racing number 11 Honda Civic down pit lane for an early visit to see the mechanics. Right then, that's not something we like to see. A 10-second time penalty for car number 28. And unfortunately, folks, I have to say, that is the Eric Genet Monlau Motorsports Cooper in 5th position. So 10-second time penalty for Eric for causing a collision at the start of the race. And honestly, not very often you see a TCR car in that position on lap 1. It was, let's be generous and say optimistic from Genet, that manoeuvre. The stewards have taken a dim view of it as well, I'm afraid. So 10 seconds will be applied to the race time of Eric Genet at the checkered flag, taking him very well and truly out of podium contention battle as Mikel Azcona, his nightmare 2025 sadly continues. Azcona back out on track though, which is more than can be said of Marco Butti, as a little bit of pulling, a little bit of arm strength is never a bad thing. Butti, rightly very, very furious. He's Italian, of course, so they do tend to speak with the hands, does Marco? But I think that's not speaking, and that's more venting of frustration, and rightly so as well, Butti. Disappointed. Expected so much coming into this weekend, and with the way that the grids work for the next race, it's going to be an increasingly difficult endeavour indeed for car number 11. Here we see Norbert Michaelis, Eric Genet coming through our screen. Genet, let's remember, is visually and physically in that fight, but realistically with a 10-second time penalty. He is very far detached from the back of Norby's car, and this is absolute dream material. And Norbert Michaelis doesn't have to worry about the Montland Motorsport Cooper behind. He can just focus fully on the job ahead of him, and that's trying to gap Marcin Hua and be around should any kind of shenanigans develop amongst the Lincoln Co trio at the head of the pack. And quite frankly, Norby needs to get a bit of a move on, because Ted Bjork seems to be a man on the up and up as well. Last time around, Ted Bjork a 1:42.890 versus 43.1 for Norbert Michaelis. So Ted Bjork has the pace at this moment in time and has a hearty 17 minutes in which to do something about it. So it's definitely not comfortable running for Norby there in car number 105. And as we've spoken about on social media and in the pre-show ad nauseum, the temperatures are very, very high here in Valencia. The tyre drop-off will be significant. Expect some of these drivers, if they've got a bit aggressive on their setup in this race, a number of these drivers may find themselves in increasing difficulty as we near the checkered flag. So you need to be absolutely on the button, no matter where you are, to make sure you can get this car through to the run. Let's have another look then. This is the lap one. That's Eric Genet, and bang! There goes the tyre stack, and there goes Nacho Montenegro's prospects of a good result. This is what we saw on board. Wow, that is a mess from Mikel Azcona. The meat in the sandwich, unfortunately for Mikel, and it's not for the first corner exclusively. It doesn't seem. Azcona looks like he's having a good time, but unfortunately that contact would lead to Mikel having a visit pit lane and saying pretty much goodbye in terms of the competitive position. Marco Butti, by the way, is back out of pit lane, so Marco some exploratory laps in car number 11, which is a bit of something. Whatever strong arming under the hood they've done seems to have worked for now, at least. Last time around, by the way, while we're talking about lap times, Jan Aleshe, Santiago Arrutia, near as makes no difference. Identical lap times, a 1:43.039 versus a 1:43.020 versus a 1:43.168 for Marcin Hua. That does suggest to me that perhaps Jan Aleshe is a moderate cork in the bottle in terms of Santiago Arrutia's ultimate and potential pace in second position. He's definitely not gapping the Uruguayan driver behind. Now, whether this is a bit of pace management, whether this is tyre management at this relatively early stage, I say early stage, we're very much at the halfway mark of this race now. That's gone fast. So maybe Jan Aleshe is doing a little bit of management at this moment in time, but that will be giving heart to Santiago Arrutia. More importantly, they'll be giving heart to Norbert Michaelis up there in fourth. He'll be hoping that he can maybe start to get into the mix and force the issue a little bit with a trio of Lincoln Co's ahead, because you don't want them to take their own pace, then they can look after the car at leisure. You need to be a disruptor in that pack to stand any chance. A disruptor in the pack, a little bit like Ruben Volt, has pretty much made a career being the young Estonian driver. 19 years of age is Ruben Volt, multiple race winner already in TCR Europe. Very much a star of Tin Top Touring Car racing. But for now he's in 10th position. It's not been the 2025 that Ruben Volt would have been hoping for, I think it's fair to say. And it's definitely not round number 4, that Marco Butti would have been hoping for. That's a GOAT racing car grinding to a halt out on the racetrack, and can't quite work out where that is on the track. If it's in a line of fire, that will unfortunately be a safety car intervention. If things according to timing screens, T12.13, which is absolutely not where you want to be stationary. Hopefully that car can get fired back up and on its merry way. Not least of which, because it's going to disturb this marvellous little fight that we have with Julian Brichet and Ruben Volt, and just behind Felipe Fernandez as well. 3 TCR Europe drivers racing on the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour stage, and all doing a grand job of things so far. JSB Competition, ALM Motorsports and GOAT Racing respectively. Hyundai, Honda, French driver, Estonian driver, Spanish driver, and there is, unfortunately, the inevitable safety car intervention that we did fear, as Marco Butti's GOAT Racing Honda Civic needs to get recovered from the line of fire. And there is the safety car on its merry way out on the racetrack. They'll pick up our race leader Jan Ellichet, which could, I dare say, be a moment of sigh of relief for a lot of these drivers. They get a chance to put a bit of a cool cycle through their tyres, just bring the temperatures down a little bit and make sure the car is in fine fettle for the last sprint to the checkered flag. But you folks know just as well as I do, plenty of warm weather all over Europe at this moment in time. When you're in a race car and you're charging along at pace, adrenaline kicks in. You don't worry about the heat. You don't care about the Nomex fire suit or the balaclava and the helmet and the gloves and the boots. When it slows down on a safety car, all of a sudden, TCR cockpit gets a very, very warm place indeed. So it's not going to be comfortable times for our drivers as the Orange Army here at Valencia go about their business as quickly as possible and get their GOAT Racing Honda Civic away and outside of the line of fire. And a big opportunity, actually. I'll take this opportunity, I always like to do so. Shout out to the marshals here at Valencia and all around the world. We could not go motor racing if it wasn't for the army of volunteers that stand in rain and shine trackside to make sure everything's safe and above board. So a heartfelt thank you to marshals all over the world, past, present and future, for doing what you do to allow us to go racing, and a great job they do in very, very difficult conditions indeed. So thank you to the marshals here at Valencia and all over the globe for keeping us on track, keeping us safe and making sure that we can go loud and fast and exciting on a regular basis all around the world. Speaking of great work, that is a particularly fast extraction of Marco Butti's Honda Civic. So that's going to be out of the way in a few moments' time, as we're about to take a look at some of the dramas that have kicked off so far in the first 2/3 of this Kumho FIA TCR World Tour round number 4. And the drama kicked off right at the start of the race. Contact between our pole sitter Santiago Urrutia and Jan Ellichet in a straight line is never good viewing. Teammates, while that happened a little bit further back, there were some miracles to avoid the tyre stack on the outside of the first section of corners. Sadly for Nacho Montenegro, a miracle didn't come calling. Heavy contact for the Argentinian driver, and that would put pay to his competitive prospects all the way through the race. Julian Brichet and Marco Butti had a great race, combined with a little bit of contact. Brichet very sprightly on his way back to the racetrack. Marco Butti, though, wouldn't end his day there. That's an overtake on the Italian from Ruben Volt, and a little bit later on, via a pit lane visit, Marco Butti's car would grind to a halt, hence the reason we find ourselves under safety car conditions. That car's out of the way though. Hopefully this safety car will be doing the very same thing in the not too distant future, and for the last 10 minutes or so we can go racing in the World Tour here in Valencia. So this should, based on my zero experience of race control directorship, should be, hopefully, the final lap behind the safety car as Butti's machine has been spirited away behind the barriers and outside of the line of fire. It is Jan Ellichet then from Santiago Urrutia and Marchingwa, still our top three. But the big question is, does Ellichet have enough in the tank to rebuff the attack of the Uruguayan driver behind? If the race start is anything to go by, then these folks aren't particularly scared about being aggressive with each other. And Santiago Urrutia possibly might want to think twice about repeating his race 1 heroics off of the line. Frederick Valen with a so briefly in shot there from the Cyan Racing team, maybe on the phone to his two drivers saying, well, 1, 2, 3's nice boys, let's keep it this way and not end the ground. I dare say for Santiago Urrutia, maybe the phone signal isn't quite as strong as Frederick Valen would like it to be. And I dare say Jan Ellichet's probably been streaming down his radio saying this win is very important, chaps. Let's take it through to the flag. Then we have a look at Monlan Motorsports, watching on there, man Eric Genet. Let's remember as well for Eric, 10 seconds will be applied to his race time with the checkered flag. So that car, although that car is there in 5th position, The safety car has been a disaster and will cycle that machine all the way to the back of the pack. Unfortunately for Eric, it's not quite going to be the first race of the day he would have been hoping for. Nervous times then, ladies and gents, boys and girls. 8 minutes, 20 seconds plus 1 lap left on the clock. Going to be going green flag racing at the end of this lap. We've lost Nacho Montenegro, unfortunately. Marco Butti-Mikulov-Kona have been in strife, as has Aurelien Comps. They're 15th, 16th and 17th position in this field. But for a lot, the safety car is an opportunity to reset and restart. Yann Aleshe, it's just another hurdle you don't need. And look at the body language. Look at the body language, everybody, as Santiago Urrutia. Team orders? Nah, I don't think so. Every man for themselves. Don't hit each other, boys. And whoever gets this launch is going to be in absolute prime position to take the victory, and with it, potentially, the pole position further into the weekend. Here we go then. Safety car is in. Yann Aleshe leads the field to the line, and we are racing again with 7.5 minutes plus 1 lap. It is Yann Aleshe, Santiago Urrutia, Marchinquois as one. There is Aurelien Compt. He's lap traffic though. He'll be getting out of the way very soon indeed. As to the inside, has a little look. Eric Genet on Norbert Mikulis. Genet though, discretion, better part of valour on this occasion. Decides not to make the move, and there is Marchinquois to the inside of Santiago Urrutia. Urrutia has the outside line. With an exquisite move to the inside, takes that second position away. Marchinquois will have been very surprised about that one from his Chinese teammate. But Marchinquois up in a second place now for the first time in this race. Does he have the pace to close onto the back of Yann Aleshe? We'll find that one out. Aurelien Compt still involved as well, despite being a lap further down. To the inside goes Eric Genet. Was it defence? Was it attack? The end result is Norbert Mikulis survives that one. Genet now pulls very firmly to the inside, defending hard from Ted Bjork. 10 seconds are going Eric Genet's way though, so this one is all going to be for nothing. Bjork on the recovery drive. He was outside of the top 10 at the start of this race. Now he's fighting to break into the top 5 on the racetrack. Of course, Bjork will inherit that position at the checkered flag, but he wants to get it done on the tarmac so he can close in and have a look at the back of Norbert Mikulis' machine ahead. There's Aurelien Compt still very much in the mix as well. 1 lap down. Everybody's behaving themselves so far. The train continues. Yann Aleshe, Marchinquois, Santiago Urrutia, Norbert Mikulis, then the car of Aurelien Compt, and then it is Eric Genet carrying the penalty. Ted Bjork, Pepe Rolam has been quiet, up there in 7th position. He's keeping a watching brief though, ready to pounce should the opportunity present itself as we cross the line to break the timing beam again for another lap. That advantage from Aleshe is looking increasingly comfortable as Compt gets well and truly out of the way now. He's had his fun and allows the rest of the field to cycle their way through. That frees up the likes of Norbert Mikulis, of Eric Genet and of Ted Bjork. Bjork, I think, will be very frustrated. Cooped up behind the back of the Cooper ahead. Bjork will know that Eric Genet has that time penalty, but he'll be desperate to clear the Monlau machine just to get involved in Norbert Mikulis. And crucially, try and take points away from our reigning champion in the aid of his own and his teammates' charge for the 2025 Kumho FIA TCR World Tour Drivers' Crown. It's all fair and well though, but Eric Genet absolutely on the pace at this moment in time. Was that a change for second position we saw just at the top of your shot as well? Marchinquois, Santiago Urrutia getting interested in each other. No change just yet, but Mar definitely has the signal of intent from the car behind. There wants to be an interest in taking that second position away, but does Mar have the pace? And while they're squabbling, this really helps Yann Aleshe indeed. As now Urrutia back in a second. Mar down to 3rd position, and that little swap has bought a 1.5 seconds or so for Yann Aleshe, becoming increasingly comfortable for the French driver at the head of the pack. While his teammates squabble and work out amongst themselves who's going to finish where. Norbert Mikulis still pushing hard in the BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corsa, a Lantra TCR, just not able to A, clear Eric Genet behind, and B, close up onto the back of the warring Lincoln Co's ahead. Nevertheless, even if the frustration will be high for Norbert that he's not being involved in that fight, I think he'll be more than satisfied. holding on to this fourth position for now and just getting a strong haul of points after what was, frankly, unmitigated disaster in Mexico City last time around for Hyundai. This has been a very welcome return to solid points haul positions for Norbert Nicholas. Also, Pedro Girolami, I think, in 7th place, will be moderately satisfied with what has been a strong start to his Valencia weekend. Not as satisfied as Jan Elishay, who will be categorically delighted, I think it's fair to say, with what is trending towards a reasonably comfortable looking race victory. I look forward to speaking to Jan down on pit lane with Alex Le Guy at the end of this race, no doubt. Mr. Elishay is definitely looking rather comfortable. 1.2 seconds almost to the good from Santiago Urrutia. Now Marchingua still in 3rd place, but Norbert Nicholas doesn't have the pace, it seems, at this stage at least, to start challenging for that bottom step of the podium. Eric Genet, unfortunately, courtesy of the safety car, will plummet to dead last by the time that checkered flag waves, unless there's some kind of miracle further back. That's going to be scrap reward, unfortunately, for Eric, in what has been a deeply impressive, I think you'll all agree, debut on the world stage for the young Spanish driver. It seems very strange for me as a lifelong touring car fan to be commentating over Genet. Of course, it's his dad Jordi on this occasion. It is young Eric, the new generation, is right here and right now in TCR touring car. A little bit further back, I think that is Volton Fernandez going at it, just behind Julian Brichet in the outside reaches of the top 10. Ruben Volt, anybody who's not followed that young man's career in TCR Europe, keep watching Ruben Volt. Never far away from excitement as the Estonian driver. But that little battle has started to die off now, and Julian Brichet can hold on relatively comfortable in 9th position. Another good performance for the team owner, team manager and driver of the JSB competition. Elantra, 1 minute 37 seconds plus a lap on the board. This beautiful Valencia circuit. And a word about the track as well, of course, a bit of a touring car, legendary venue for anybody who watched the World Championship back in the day. Many a great race here at the Circuit Mercado Tormo. I think we've got another couple more still to come. They're going to be increasingly fraught and increasingly excitable, as is only the way in touring cars, as a rather frustrated Marco Butti debriefs with his GOAT Racing team. It's a real shame to see the Italian out so early. So much pace, so much story still to tell for Marco Butti this weekend. He's got a lot of work to do, but it's by no means impossible for the GOAT Racing Italian Honda driver. Right then, I don't know about you good people at home, but I think Santiago Urrutia's bravery pills have worn off now towards the end of this race. It is very much follow my leader, Jan Elishay home. There'll be, I'd love to be a little fly on the wall in the team debrief after that first race start. As we always say, in love and war, all is fair. If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. So that'll be interesting times at Lincoln Co. By the way, Ted Bjork, I've just seen moving up the running order as Eric Genet elects to serve that penalty rather than have it added to the end of the race. He's had his fun now as Eric. He's peeled off down the pit lane. That moves Norbert Nicholas up onto the track in 4th position. Ted Bjork up there in the 5th position as well. Timing screens will update themselves in a few moments' time. But this is the penultimate lap, and you don't need a timing screen to tell you one thing, and one thing very clear indeed. Jan Elishay is looking rather comfortable indeed for this race victory. And hasn't it been a great start to the weekend for the Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing team? Ted Bjork let the side down, unfortunately, a little bit. Not very often you say that one in qualifying, having not made it through in the Q2. There is Eric explaining with Dad Jordi what's going wrong with the front of the car. He's going to maybe go out there and just give it a quick fettle, make sure it's okay for race 2 tomorrow morning. Quite a quick turnaround here in Valencia, especially with TCR Spain running on the same weekend. So any kind of checks to make sure it's all pointed in the right direction. Not necessarily a bad thing. I'll give it a shakedown for you if you like, Eric. So then, 1, 2, 3, and with a recovery drive from Ted Bjork, P5, just with Norbert Nicholas in the middle, that's not a bad day's work for the Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing team, is it? Not a bad day's work at all. That car looks terrifyingly fast here at Valencia. And if you're Norbe, if you're the BRC Hyundai N Squad, the Corsa team, there's going to be a lot of head stretching, a lot of laptop bashing, and a lot of thinking overnight as to how they can extract some more pace from that car to get in contention with a trio of Cyan racing machines ahead. There is Genet, exiting pit lane. Just at the end, everything's been checked over, penalties being served. There is Genet's disappointing day. Can wind down very quickly with a quick shower, and I'm sure he's going to be back in some kind of race car somewhere again before too long. I'm absolutely certain. Final lap then, folks, here for round number 4 of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia. Remember, we're back in action again tomorrow at 10:20 local, 8:20 UTC, and again at 15:30 local, 15:10 local, 13:10 UTC. It's touring car racing. It always gets more exciting the more races we do, so don't miss out for those. But if you're Jan Ellershey, he's got one late afternoon, early evening to celebrate what has been a picture-perfect start to his Valencia weekend. Second weekend of the season in the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. And despite the best efforts of teammate Santiago Urrutia to send him on his merry way to Jerez, Jan Ellershey survives absolutely everything and more to cycle this car home on the final lap, as Julian Brichet, by the way, moves up in his 7th off camera ahead of Esteban Gurrieri. But all eyes are focused on the French driver, Jan Ellershey, car number 168. For the final time, through the final corner, he weaves to the checkered flag and takes victory in round 4 of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. Fabulous, fabulous performance then from Jan Ellershey. Muted smiles and applause from the Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing Garage as he brings home a 1-2-3 for the outfit. Santiago Urrutia in second and Marcin Hua in the final podium position. Solid drive there from Norbert Michaelis. The plan to overtake everyone on lap 1 didn't quite come off as organised. Michaelis 4th position. Solid result nevertheless. Ted Bjork, outstanding as always on the recovery drive. Ted Bjork, who's back against the wall, is a scary prospect indeed for any driver, and he finishes a very impressive 5th place. Bebo Girolami in 6th. Julian Brichet with a final lap charge up in his 7th, and Ruben Volt, Esteban Gurrieri, and rounded out the top 10 goes the way of Felipe Fernandez. John Felipe recovers eventually to 11th place, just ahead of Victor Anderson. Rafael Fournier is 13th, Aurelien Comte in 14th, and then the luckless Eric Genet, Michael Conan, Marco Butti, and Nacho Montenegro are frustrated spectators down there in 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th positions, respectively. Well, he had a bit of everything, that one, folks, didn't it? A little bit of teammate controversy, some overtaking at the front of the pack, a standout recovery drive from one of our disadvantaged drivers in qualifying, and a few bumps and bangs and war wounds for good measure. That's why we like touring car racing, isn't it? Yep, scratch that one. That's why we love touring car racing, isn't it? Fabulous stuff, and more to come again tomorrow, where anybody who's familiar with the world of touring cars and TCRs and multi-race format events, races 2 and 3 are always just like race 1, but 10 times more exciting. So make sure you put a little note in your diary for that one, as we see a confirmation again of our provisional results. And let's remember, of course, folks, as always, these results are provisional until the stewards have done all their inquiries and the technical checks have been made and the various different appeals have been lodged and listened to. But for now, it does go the way of Jan Ellershey, Santiago Urrutia, and Marcin Hua for a Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing 1, 2, and 3 on the podium. Fabulous stuff. Fabulous venue, incredible series, marvellous rule set of the TCR regulations. This is our 3rd season of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour, and I think it's fair to say it gets better and better every single time we go on the racetrack. The level of these drivers, mark my words, I've been around a TCR paddock now for a little while, hopefully a long while still to come, but the World Tour drivers, the level of preparation, of fitness, of training, of just pure outright racecrafting skill, it's just in a completely different ballpark. You always think you're racing at a high level and the World Tour drivers come and show you just what these cars are capable of. And it's from the preparation, it's from the teams themselves, the way they organise themselves, they manage the time, they engineer the car, they present the car. It's from the teams all the way through to the drivers. It really is the top tier of tin top touring car racing. And we're very, very privileged to be in a day and age where we can witness all this happening as it happens. A new era of top level touring car racing. I think TCR is going to be around for a lot longer than the 10 years that we celebrate so far this season. Fabulous stuff. And a point man, poster child, I think it's fair to say, for some TCR regulation cars, has to be that man Jan Elysée. Been a couple of years since he took a title, even a little bit more than that one, but it still remains the absolute top percentage of touring car drivers in the whole wide world. And Jan Elysée, he'll be hoping to add another title, I think, to his extensive family collection of silverware. From Kathy, of course, being a very established racer herself, and Uncle Van Muller, who should need zero introduction to TCR fans and touring car fans around the world. Well, Jan, very much, despite the storied family names behind him, is happily carving out his own legacy as well, and by goodness me, is he doing a fantastic job of it as well. So in a few moments' time then, I don't know how he does this one. He's a superbly fit boy, is Jan. If it was me in this weather, I'd have that helmet off as fast as humanly possible and probably a bottle of water drowning myself as well, but no problems for Mr. Elysée. He's used to cycling all around in warm weather. Very, 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 very fit sportsman. He's Jan Elysée. He'll not be concerned about these weather conditions, I'm sure. He'll frustratingly, when he takes that helmet off, look like a man who's not really done any physical work. Well, I've just commentated and look like I've been the one in the race car. Look, he's barely had his sweat on him. It's terrible, isn't it, when he's so fast and healthy and fit as well. He's absolutely the full package, Jan Elysée, and he'll definitely know he's done a day's work. But what a victory. What a commanding victory. Let's have a look then. Provisional results for round 4. It is, as we all know, Jan Elysée from Santiago Urrutia and Ma Qinghua. Nubba Michaelis, Ted Bjork, Bebu Girolami are 4th, 5th and 6th respectively. Julien Brichet, good drive for the Frenchman in 7th. Ruben Volt, 8th. Esteban Gurrieri recovers to 9th place. That's vital for the championship charge. And then Felipe Fernandez rounds out our top 10 runners. But Gurrieri, let's not forget, started in 14th position. You've seen with your own eyes the dramas. It could easily have gone wrong for the Argentine. 9th is a good recovery. John Felipe is 11th from Victor Anderson. Raphael Fournier 13th. Aurelien Comte in 15th. And Eric Genet 16th. Right then, let's go and have a word with our race winner. I think Alex Leguiz found him on pit road.
Well, that was very nicely done. Jan takes the win in Valencia for our race 1 of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. Talk about fisticuffs coming into that first corner between you and Santi.
Yeah, you know, we knew that we cannot be too hard to each other. So we went quite smooth, and we didn't want it to take too many risks. We say the one that get the best out of the box will have a slot. So the race was then open, and we had a good takeaway. And to be honest, I was focusing on this since qualifying. So really happy, went smooth, all the operation and stuff, restart, safety car, everything. So very happy about the win. Hope it will stay and not be investigated later like the previous one. And yeah, good points. It's cool.
Yeah, good. Very good. Nicely done, Jan. Well done.
Just in case I heard that wrong, I'll ask the audience. We didn't want to be too aggressive with each other. We didn't want to take too many risks. I don't know if you've watched the same race that I did, but that was very risky and very aggressive on the run down into T1 between Santi Urrutia and Jan Elysée. But it worked out, and I almost suggested it was all smiles there, but yeah, there is smiles. There are a few smiles, and it's hard not to be happy when you've just taken a race victory on the world stage. And I think Santi as well, it's a good example of a man that's not going to give up easily. Right then, plenty to dissect. Let's take a quick look at the highlights from the race that you have just enjoyed.
Ladies and gentlemen, hola a todos, buenos dias. Thank you so much for having us. We are the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour, and it is a pleasure to be here. What a race that was. Let's begin. Please welcome to the podium our third position driver from Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing. It's Ma Qinghua.
Estamos ahí con ese tercer clasificado de la prueba Ma Qinghua, el piloto chino de Lincoln Co.
In second position from Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing, it's Santiago Urrutia.
Segundo clasificado desde Uruguay, Santiago Urrutia.
And the winner from Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing, it is Jan Erlacher.
Y desde Francia, vencedor de esta primera manga, Jan Erlacher.
Representing Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing, it's Alex Cannon.
Alex Cannon del equipo vencedor, el Cyan Racing Lincoln Co. equipo ganador.
And now for the national anthem of Jan Erlacher.
Y escuchamos en honor del vencedor el himno de Francia. Ese aplauso para ese cuadro de honor.
The promoter of TCR Spain, Gabriel Alonso, will present the third position trophy to Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing's Ma Qinghua.
Gabriel Alonso, promotor de FIA World Tour en España, entregará el tercer clasificado Ma Qinghua el trofeo.
Gabriel Alonso will once again present the second position trophy to Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing. What are you up to? Santiago Urrutia.
Santiago Urrutia recibe de manos de Gabriel Alonso el trofeo como segundo clasificado.
And now presenting the winning trophy, Gabriel Alonso once again to Jan Erlacher.
El francés Jan Erlacher ha recibido el trofeo de manos de Gabriel Alonso como vencedor de la carrera.
Once again, Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing gets the winning team trophy, and it's Alex Cannon.
Y el vencedor, el equipo vencedor, Lincoln Co. representado por Alex Cannon.
Boys, please come together for your official photographs.
Las últimas fotografías en lo alto del podio con Ma Qinghua, Santiago Urrutia, Jan Erlacher y Alex Cannon.
In 5 seconds. Let's party! Gracias a todos. Thank you so much. Make sure you're back here tomorrow. We've got race 2 and race 3 of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. Gracias and adios.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Alex Legui. Congratulations to our podium winners here in Valencia. And this is the new point standings after that dramatic race. And a new championship leader, Santiago Urrutia, takes it by 4 from Esteban Gurrieri. Ted Bjork is 8 in arrears. Jan Erlacher 10 further back in 4th position. 10 points separated our top 4 drivers in the standings. Ma Qinghua just 31 adrift in 5th as well, and the ever impressive Aurelien Comte rounding out the top 6 in the provisional point standings after one of 3 upcoming races here in the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour at Valencia. Speaking of upcoming races, of course, we're back in action again tomorrow. It's going to be at 10:20 local time, 8:20 UTC. Thanks for watching. Until next time, it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you, and we'll see you all again tomorrow when we do it all again. Take care and goodbye.